Hi, this is Mrs. Robertson, and today we're going to do a review before we take our test tomorrow. And this is for rational numbers. And in problem number 1, you have to change to a decimal. Then you can put them in order from least to greatest. All right, 45% is the decimal 0.45. Who has memorized what does 2/3 equal as a decimal? Anyone have it memorized? Yes.
75.
No, 3/4 is 75%. Yes. It is 0.6 repeating. 0.6 repeating. I should probably put a 0 there. And if you don't know that, 2/3 is, you just divide. 2 divided by 3. It goes into that 6 times, and look, you're going to get a 2, bring down a 0, and it's always going to be 6, and it just keeps on going. So it's 6 repeating. All right, now 3/8. To do that one, you have 3 divided by 8. The numerator goes in the box, the denominator goes outside. No 8s in a 3. How many 8s are in a 30? 3, 24, subtract, add a 0, bring it down. It will go into that 7 times. That is 56, subtract, add another 0, bring it down. It'll go into 45 times. So this is 0.375, 0.375. And we have 0.625. So now let's line them up so we can put them in order from little to big. So I have 0.45, 0.6 repeating, which means I just have a bunch of 6s that go on forever. 3/8 is 0.375 and 0.625. Now, in the decimal world, if you have an empty spot, you fill it with a 0. So let's do that right now because I want them all to go to the thousands place. Now it's really easy. You look at that first digit, or the digit that's in the tens place, and we identify which number is the smallest. Well, that's pretty easy. Which one's the smallest in the yellow highlighted area? The 3. This one is our smallest. And that goes to 3/8. So 3/8 is our smallest. What's our next smallest? It's the 4. And that is 45%. Now, since they are both 6s, you look at the number behind the 6. Which is, we want the smallest one. So which one would be smaller? 6. This one right here, isn't it? 62 is smaller than a 66. So then it will be 0 and 625 thousandths. And our largest is 2/3. 2/3 is your largest amount. Okay? Now there will not be a problem like number 2 on the test, but all of you know how to do it. You change your percent to a decimal. Of means multiply, and you would multiply 298 times 24 hundredths, and that gives you the answer on that. But let's now go on to number 3. This is similar to number 1. Here, once again, we're going to change them to decimals or percents. I'm just going to change to a decimal. And here, 23/25, I can get that over 100 because 125 is a factor of 100. Yes?
Times 4.
You take it times 4. 23 times 4 is 92. So that equals 92 hundredths. Okay? 83% is the same thing as 0.83. And 91 hundredths is already in a decimal, isn't it? Now, here they want biggest to smallest. Okay, which one is the biggest of those 3 numbers? Hannah? 23/25. 92 hundredths is our largest. What's our second to the largest going to be in this one? Yes. Yes, 91 hundredths, and that leaves us with the smallest, 83%. Yes. I didn't hear you. This is the third study guide. It's got a 3 on it. Yeah. Since we had short days, I just thought I'd make some study guides that were short. All right, as opposed to doing something else. All right, write 3/4 as a percent. Well, let's just review. What does 1/4 equal as a percent? What would 1/4 equal? Yes. 25%. You have that memorized. Good. What does 1/2 equal as a percent? Yes. 50%. And now we get to 3/4. And 3/4, yes. 75%. That is correct. So the answer for this one is 75%. Okay, number 5. Oh, we got to write it as a fraction, but it's a decimal. And so what we're going to, or it's a percent with a decimal. We're going to change this to a decimal. So you're going to move it over 2 places to the left. And now we have the decimal 725 thousandths. Okay? Now you can write that as a fraction. You're going to put 725 over what number? 1,000. Because it's tenths, hundredths, thousandths. Now you have to put it in simplest form. Well, what do you want to use? You want to use a 5 or a 25, kids? Okay, 725 divided by 25. There are 2 of them in a 70, or in a 72. That's 50. Subtract. Bring down. There are how many of those? 9. 5. Carry a 4. Yep. So 29 is going to go on top. And then if you have 1,000 divided by 25, there are 4 25s in 100. And then there's a 0 left. It goes into it 0 times. So 29/40ths is your fraction in simplest form. 29/40ths. Okay. How do you write a percent as a fraction? What do you put it on top of? Every percent is per, yes, Hannah? 100. You put 875 over 100 because that's what that percent sign says. Now, Caden, how many 100s are in 875? Or it's Camden, not Caden. How many 100s are in an 875?
8.
Right. So the big number, 8. And how many's left over? 875 minus 800 is? Yes. 75, and it goes on top of the 100. Now, we have to simplify it. Think of quarters. How many quarters are in 75? 3. How many quarters are in 100? 4. And it's 8 3/4. That's how you get that problem there. Not bad. Now let's go to the back side. And this is recorded, so if you need to look at it tonight when you're studying, it's right there. To change a decimal to a percent, you're going to move it 2 places to the right. 1, 2. This will be 17 9/10%. Make sure you write that on the blank. Now, to change a decimal to a percent, you move it 2 places instead of to the right, to the left. 1, 2. And the answer is 38 hundredths. On the next one, it wants us to write this as a decimal. Well, 5 1/4 is 5 point. What's the decimal for 1/4? Yes. Well, 1/4 equals, it's 25%, but as a decimal, it's 0.25, isn't it? So it's 5.25. You don't add a percent symbol because it asks for a decimal. So you don't put a percent symbol unless it asks for a percent. So make sure you do that. Okay. Now, what is 755 written as a percent? This is going to be big. Why is it going to be big? You know that 1 whole equals 100%. So if you have 755, well, 2 wholes equals 200%. You have 755, and that's going to equal 75,500%. How do you get that? You move it 2 places to the right and fill your empty spots with zeros. To go from a decimal to a percent, it's 2 places to the right. Okay? Now this problem will be worth 4 points. It'll be a problem similar to this. You get 1 point for your fraction. You'll get 1 point for a percent and 2 points for your explanation. Okay? So, it says during a basketball game, Tom attempted 10 shots and made 9. He says he made 80% of the shots he took. Is Tom correct? Explain your reasoning. What's my fraction? Yes. 9/10. That's a point. Now, 9/10 equals what percent? Well, percent means per 100, right? How does a 10 turn into a 100? Times 10. 10 times 10 is 100. 9 times 10 is 90. So 9/10 is 90%. You get a point for your fraction, a point for your percent. Now you get 2 points for your explanation. Is Tom correct? What do you think? On this one, it's really no, but some of you would say yes, he made 80% and more. But I think the best answer is no. No. Tom made 90%, which is greater than 80%. Something like that. Okay? Now, there's one other type of problem I want to go over that's on your test with you real quick.